I think we have to realize that there is a huge stigma, and since we're all on here African American, there's a huge stigma in the Black community of going to counseling in whatever aspect, whether you're married, whether you're seeking counseling for just whatever issues you may be dealing with, whatever. And I think we need to talk more to people just in general, especially our community, about how therapy and or counseling is effective. And I know I can speak for, and this is where I'm so proud of my husband, because he always says, you know, you can come to me and you can talk to me about certain things, but sometimes I'm gonna have to refer you to a professional that can actually handle, you know, I'm going to handle the spiritual side, and I'm going to handle whatever I feel that's in my capabilities to do so. However, there comes a certain point in time where some individuals is just like, you know, I need to refer you or give you the advice that maybe you should seek someone, a medical counselor that can help you a little further than what I can. And I think that's where we have to start with, that is making sure that we tell our people and we embed that into our people at an early age, our younger Black people in particular, in this day and age. It is okay. Whatever issues that you're dealing with, it's fine. It is okay to go and seek counseling and whatever. It's free a lot of times with your employer. EAP programs. Okay. So
my question is to everybody, whether you are single or married, if your mate, if you can see that therapy may be the best solution of moving forward, but the other mate feels like, why do I need this? Why do we need to go to therapy? What is therapy for? We don't need that. So if there's a competing battle between going to therapy and not going to therapy, how do you believe that couple should move forward? Anybody want to take a first jab at it?
I feel like if one party wants to enter into counseling and another does not, I feel honestly, David, at some point it's going to cause a major strain, because you have one that truly wants to work on the issue and another that at this point really doesn't. So at some point it's going to cause an issue, and it may end to a dissolve of the relationship or the marriage. So I feel like in order to make counseling effective for the relationship and for the marriage, both parties really need to be on one accord for counseling. If one or the other is swaying, I don't think it's going to work.
So if you're just joining us, we wanted to let you know that we thank you and appreciate you for watching.
Yes,
like, share, and comment so we can see what your thoughts are. You're hearing from us, and we want to hear from you. So what I would also say about marriage and therapy, one thing that therapy does is it allows an unbiased third voice.
Right. Yes.
It's not for one mate or the other. It's straight down the middle. Everybody can, and it gives both people in the relationship an opportunity to really understand and hear what the other mate is trying to say. Because I'll put it this way, if you speak English to somebody who only understands French, even if you're saying something that is so concrete and anybody can understand it, no, they can't, because you're not speaking and communicating in the same language. So you got to be able to hear and receive on the same languages you're being spoken to. That is so important, and that is exactly what therapy does. It allows both persons in both parties in the relationship to speak and hear on the same wavelength.
And I want to piggyback off Jill, because I want to say I commend you and your husband for what you all are doing, because I think it was a clip. I don't remember, David, you have to remind me. We were watching some clip where the minister was talking about mental health, but he started going in a direction that kind of lended people to the thought of, if you have to seek therapy, then maybe, you know, your connection with the scripture isn't as strong as it needs to be. And it kind of feeds the stereotype that it's one or the other. Why can't it be both?
Right. Yeah.
It is both.
That's what I call toxic theology.
There we go.
Toxic. That's toxic theology.
Because I believe that anything, whether it's marriage or whatever, it's religion, it's about balance.
Yeah.
You can't just think one way and read from one source and eat from one source and think that you're going to be balanced. No, you won't. You're going to be heavy in one area and light in others. It's about balance. And I think that that's what therapy provides. It's another thing that therapy provides. It's balance. Yeah. That you're able to understand what's going on. And I'm a proponent of therapy because it helped. I know it helped because I went through it. And when we were going through it as a couple, the first thing the therapist did was separate us. It's like, listen, you got some stuff that you need to deal with on your own. Let's talk about David first. Because if David don't get David together, he will definitely not be able to get anybody else together. And he won't be suitable for anybody else.
That's good.
So getting David together was number one. You got to get yourself together and understand where you are and why you feel the way you feel. You can be passionate about how you feel and how you think, but when you're in that process of getting you together, you may figure out, well, why am I passionate about that again? And do I really feel that way? Or was that something I was brought up to believe? Is that how I really feel? Or was that just, indoctrinated into me in my environment, in my religion? Like, why do I feel this way? And do I still feel the same way even years later? Therapy, I'm telling you, will work if you work it. Find you somebody that can understand you as an individual, not as a religion, not as an education, and not you as an ethnicity, not you as an orientation, you as an individual.
That's good.
Have to be able to be understood by the person that's trying to provide guidance. And if they're only coming from one area, which is the pastor or the leaders in religion, you're gonna be off balance still.
You're gonna miss it. Yeah. You're gonna miss it.
Go ahead,
Let me say this. I'm gonna piggyback off of something you said, David, about getting yourself together, how they separated you guys. Personally, I know sometimes I've had friends that have come to me and be like, they're struggling or whatever. And one thing that I suggested is, well, okay, your partner may not want to go with you now. Why don't you go by yourself? Okay. Go by yourself first and see what it is. Because what do you need to be held accountable for? Because it's not always just the one partner. There are things that I'm quite sure that you didn't necessarily, whatever you did invoke the behaviors of how they're acting. However, there are still probably toxic traits and things that you're doing that you could work on to better your relationship. So maybe why don't you go first? And then once they see you're trying to make strides and things like that, that may give them the little bump that they need to like, you know what, I'm gonna join you, or I'm gonna go on my own. And that may work it out. So sometimes, you know what, maybe we don't need to go together. If you go on your own and I go on my own, sometimes things like that, sometimes it can make things better because your communication will get better,
Agree.
So that's Chiquita, if I believe you are the engaged person on our co-host panel. Have you all thought about going to premarital counseling?
We actually started going to premarital counseling.
Okay, what are your thoughts?
I think that everybody should go. He was opposed to it because, like Jill said, in the African American community, we are so like, I don't need to go to therapy. Why can't we work this out on our own? And he was very gung-ho about that. Like, why do we have to go? Because he wasn't ready to deal. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. Counseling does bring out stuff in people. And sometimes people are not ready to deal with whatever demon that they may be wrestling with or what have you. And so for myself, I'm a very independent person. I will tell you in a minute, I love you, but I don't really need you. And I know, like, because of that, I had to work on that myself. So I decided, even outside of our premarital counseling, that I was going to go and have my own individual counseling, because I'm like, I know I wrestle with some things that, I know how he is, but like Jill said, let me go do my own thing. Maybe he gonna catch up. And in the end, it did allow him, some stuff had kind of transpired, but he eventually started seeking his own individual therapy as well. But bruh man was against it. And I was like, oh, you against it? Guess what? Here you go. Because I ain't going into something because the foundation got to be right. And if the foundation jacked up, that means you jacked up, I'm jacked up, this whole household jacked up. I ain't got time because I can go to hell by myself. Just saying.
So Mo, You
Yes.
being on the single end. What is one question that if you could ask any married couple about something to prepare while you're in your waiting stage, what's one question you would ask of a married couple?
I mean, really, what do you prepare for as a woman, as a Christian woman? You know, is life, because I am dating. So one of the fears that I have is, will what we are right now remain when, you know, in engagement, in marriage, down the line? I know I won't be the same person. I know he won't be the same person, but the foundation of who we are, what we enjoy to do, how we are with one another, I don't want to lose that. So I think that's probably a fear that I will share to the open world. You know, how do you manage that? Can you manage that? I'm a type A person, so I want to kind of be in control. I want to know what I'm dealing with down the road. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Blah blah blah. You know, and I know it doesn't always work like that. So that would probably be a question statement. What do you think?
Well, I would say this. Yes, the answer to your question is yes. It can work. And yes, so I would say to all couples, there's this thing that we've developed called maintenance time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for 1 hour, 1 day a week, where you sit with your mate and you talk about any and everything. But there is no distractions, no cell phones, no computers, no children, no television. It's just you and your mate communicating for 1 hour. And so, especially for those couples that can't seem to communicate on the same wavelength right now, if they're having those heated fellowships, try maintenance time. 1 hour, 1 day a week with just you and your mate, because my motto is whatever you maintain will remain.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, if you maintain it, it will remain. So that would be my advice to anybody seeking to better their relationship, whether it's you're in the courting stage, engagement phase, or even our married couples. If you take that 1 hour, I guarantee you, after a while, you may not need to have a designated time to communicate when you're trying to have those heated fellowships, because you'll learn in that 1 hour the heart of your mate. So when those heated times and those stressful times come up, you can automatically believe, like, wait a minute, they're not out to hurt me. They're out to understand me. So if you do that, I guarantee you you can do it. It can be done, Melissa. It can definitely be done.
Because I'm just that's all. Everything else we can work through the other stuff. I just want what we are, what we truly are, our foundation. I want that to remain. And so we kept it that way. I just don't know what it will be down the line.
And I'm gonna say that I think one thing I actually took from David and Johnny, you guys actually inspired this, and I don't even know if y'all even knew it, but one thing that Tim and I started doing a while back was just taking, if we need to have certain conversations away from the house, it's just like, let's go to like dinner, or let's just go to the park, you know, like we used to do, or just something like that. And then we can talk there freely more so. Cause sometimes you can have better open dialogue sometimes when you're not in your home. And it sounds weird, but that's the reality sometimes. I don't know what it is about open space or being at a restaurant or whatever, but sometimes you can have better conversations sometimes where you're not in the comfort of your home, where I can't go and slam the door or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it may be, whatever. But, you know, we've had a lot of eye openers, meet at the park or just whatever. So that may be an idea for whether you're married or not married or in dating or what have you. That may be something to take into account as well. Because I don't know I can't explain it. I can't explain it.
Come on, girl.
So Wes, what do you think? Before you go there, what do you think healthy communication looks like in a relationship?
Oh, let me tell you something. Going back to maintenance time, Dee and I took that from David and Johnny, and it has helped us. You have to learn how to effectively, that's a key word, effectively communicate. Because you can communicate and it not be effective. but you have to learn how to effectively communicate and really know that the person that you're with, your partner, your spouse, is just that in its totality, and they should be a safe place for you. And I think when that happens, the lines of communication can become easier. So I just, for example, D and I, one of our, when we first started, because I feel like we have been together for 20 years, but it's been 10. But one of our tough spots was finances. And it was, and so it's like, what does that look like for us? So we had to break it down, what that looks like for him, and for me to receive that from him, and what that looks like for me, and for him to receive that from me. And you just have to take the time to learn who your partner is, learn who your spouse is, and just learn the lines of communication, because communication changes, people change, and things happen in the course of a relationship, and you just gotta go along with it. And when you go along with it, you sometimes gotta change the narrative of your communication.
That's good.
That's real
Johnny,
good.
what say you?
What say me? I say that I say you need to kind of understand people are gonna change over the time. Like, who you start with should not be who you with 5 years later, 6 years later,
Right.
10 years later. Everybody's going to grow. Some people can grow. Well, some people can go up. Some people can go down. We hope everybody's going up. But
Exactly.
I think that some people are growing, and you have to realize you meet people at different seasons of their lives. And so you have to love them through some seasons. And I think that sometimes even success is not always welcomingly received, because you could meet somebody in their season where they're trying to get it together, and they come into success and turn into a whole different person. And so you have to be ready to, take the good, the bad, the ugly. But I do say to someone like Mo, have your PLAN, your plan, what you want. Make sure they got they plan what they want, and be aligned with each other. Because I'm telling people, folks get married and die, and they never died and got married before. And I'm just saying.
That's true, though. And have the hard conversations. Have them.
And Mo, I would say to you too,
those hard conversations.
Keeping and building your foundation is going to keep the essence of who you both are throughout the course of your relationship. Something like that, although people change, if you keep the essence of who you are, that's not going to change. Me and D are best friends. We started out as friends, and that's something that's been consistent.
Right.
So keep working at that, because it won't change.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's something that's very key too. That's what the old man told us in Italy. He said, make sure they're your friend. We've been married for 6 or 7 years. Make sure they're your friend. Love ain't always gonna be there.
I just told someone that before we started today. I was just having that conversation with someone, like, make sure they're your friend.
So my question is also, how long do you believe a person or a couple should date or court before merging households?
Child. Hold on. Let me take my
on the people, to be honest. It depends on the people. Everyone's different.
Even though I agree with you, Jill, but even though everyone is different, like, I've been reading, on relationships and couples, like, here and there all the time, and I cringe. I literally cringe when I hear, when I see these wonderful pictures on social media of these two people, these two individuals, and they like, oh, we're a match made, and oh, by our third date we were engaged.
I got something for this.
What you got for it? One more time. What you got for
I'm telling you, I cringe when I hear that and I see that foolishness. Because I'm like, there's no way. There's no way you can truly know somebody well enough to want to say that you can spend the rest of your life with them after 3 dates.
Somebody think they Khloe Kardashian. They think they Khloe and Lamar Odom,
but even if wait, Chiquita. But even if they do think that they're a Kardashian, Did you see that mental health playing a part in your marriage before you said I do?
That's true.
And if you did, would you have still said I do?
They
That is perfect.
David, look, I'm gonna say this because I had to change my outfit. I had to change my outfit again. People need to work on their timelines. That's all I'm gonna say.
Because the timelines don't add up sometimes.
They don't add up. They don't add up.
But I think some people get caught up in the ceremony, in the ring, in the event. They plan an event. They don't plan a marriage. Come on, people.
That's the thing.
Yes.
They think so much about a wedding that they disregard the marriage and what goes into it and what
that
takes
day
to go into it. That day is for everybody else. That ain't really because you ain't gonna remember it.
You got people out here planning weddings that don't even know their birthday. And I'm just going, you know.
I got some here at Deli. Anybody want some?
Okay. No. I stand by this. My parents, I know I'm not a marriage guru, marriage counselor, but I watch my parents be friends, be everything to each other for over 30 years. And they were friends for a year. They went out, they dated. After a year, they became engaged. A year later, they got married. But the thing that we were talking about in the last conversation was friendship. And I watched my parents become friends. As a kid, they were my parents, but then they became that's what I look to. And so my daddy said at least a year, because at least in a year, you'll be able to see how they act, who they are. You'll see a good idea. Now, if you want to go out and get married in 6 months, you must have money. The reality is, if Chloe and Lamar Odom did not have money, they would not have got married. That's all. That's a whole nother lie.
I do agree. Thank you so much to my co-host.